I have sent the first section of the video, but I'm just re-explaining it to you. Now, history is basically made from a Greek word which means histos, which means, sorry, the word is histos, which means know this. And then historio, which means learn by inquiry. That means everything that happened in the past is when we were not even existing. So, whatever happened in the past, to know it better, we study history, and it is the study of the past which we basically deal in history. Okay, so it not just talks about the kings, the lifestyle, the various kingdoms which grew, but we also talk of their art, religion, architecture, literature, philosophy, how the early man came into being. The life of the common people are also dealt in history. Then we talk of a very important person called Herodotus. Now, he is known as the father of history. Please underline, those of you who have the book, underline Herodotus, underline history. It was he who termed this word history. And he talked of that history means study of the past or whatever investigations are done about the past. So even if we visit a monument, in Lucknow, if we visit Bada Imambara, if we see the architecture, we come to know what type of king he was who built this, what kind of a stones material was used. So everything that we come to know through the remains is history. Then they talked of the importance of history. Why is history important? So basically, to gain our knowledge about the kings and earlier people, we study history. That it then it also helps us to find solutions of the current problems in a better way. Whatever we see, study history about, we come to know about the lifestyle, and we try to mend our present day life. Then third is the knowledge of origin. That means we come to know how man came into existence, the different languages they spoke, the dialect, that means the written patterns they followed. Then the fourth thing we learn about the basic principles like slavery, racial discrimination, hunger, poverty, etc. These are the evils of our society, and we must eradicate them, we must remove them. So, history helps us to remember about our past glory, and it helps us to keep it preserved. Okay, so the study of the past is so closely knit into the present that we cannot ignore it. Whatever happened in the past, we cannot study the present life till we talk about the past. Then they tell us about the time frame. Now, time frame basically is studied into two categories: BC and AD. Now, BC, please underline, means before Christ, and AD stands for Anno Domini, that means in the year of the Lord. So, any event which happened before the Christ was born, so the dates are written in BC. And any event which happened after the birth of Christ is known as Anno Domini, that means in the year of the Lord, and further they are referred as AD. Then please switch off your mic. If you want to work properly, you should switch off your mic. Otherwise, the teaching class gets interrupted. Then they talked of the term called CE, which stands for Common Era, or BCE, that means before Common Era. Many a times AD and BC they are not mentioned. Instead of it, CE is used and BCE is used. Okay, and then they tell you circa, the time when any date is given, and just next to it, instead of BC or AD, if it is written circa, that means it's an approximate date. Approximate date means that the writers or the historians are not very sure about it. They do not have an accurate information about the time sequence. That is why they write circa there. Then they tell you that the historians have divided the past into two basic broad periods. One is prehistory prehistory and the other is history. Now, in prehistory, what is prehistory? Now, prehistory is the time period when there were no written records. People did not know how to write, so there are no written records about it, only the remains, the ornaments, the tools, the bones, etc., which remains. The historians and the anthropologists, they studied about the remains and they wrote about it accordingly based on the remains only. The archaeological remains help us to study a lot. So there were no written records. That period is known as prehistory. Now, what is history? History is basically the study of the past events where we have the records. That means at that time we have written records about it. The earlier writings, the poets and the court poets of the kings who existed, they wrote about the kings and we come to know through them. Now, history is again broadly divided into three periods. Ancient history, as the word tells you, ancient means Purani, old. So, the older history is known as ancient. Then the next is medieval. Medieval word, as it tells you, means middle. Then modern history. So modern history deals with the coming of the Britishers and till date. So basically, history is divided into three categories: ancient, medieval, and modern history. Now, the written records are the source of details of these written materials. Children, your mic is constantly open. I can hear my own echo. I don't know if this recording will help you in future. Now, before we move further, we need to know the basic terms, what anthropology is. We came to know about the term anthropology. So we need to know what anthropology is. Now, anthropology is a part of history which deals with the evolution of man, that how man came into existence, how and what all did he do, how he evolved from, what do you say, the present day man has evolved from ape. Ape is the gorilla kind of structure the man had earlier. How he turned himself into a proper human. How he evolved from the ape man to a present day erect Homo sapien. Okay. Then we talk of the geographical framework, which tells us that geography of a place affects the conditions where and how people live. A very simple example is, you can one of you can open your mic and answer it also. Supposing given a chance, would you live in the Himalayas or would you live next to a river bank? Where would you love to live?
Ma'am, Riverbank.
River
Ma'am,
bank.
Riverbank.
River
Ma'am,
bank.
Riverbank.
Ma'am,
But
Riverbank.
thank
Ma'am,
you,
near
thank
Riverbank.
you,
Ma'am, Riverbank.
thank you for your lovely response. You can again switch off your mic. So, the Himalayas, you know that the hilly regions will have tougher life. The scarcity of food, the scarcity of water might not lead a very healthy life on the hills, whereas living in a plain next to a river body where you have a constant supply of water, so you would prefer living there because you can grow crops there, you can have water whenever you want, your animals or the pets that you will domesticate can also have water. So you know that living next to a water body is easy. Now, so happened with the earlier time people. The people, the early men, they also knew that living next to a water body would make their life simpler. Now, I would quote another example. Living in a desert, a sandy area, would you prefer living there or would you prefer living near the, say, a fertile flat land? Where would you prefer
Ma'am,
to live?
Flatland.
Ma'am,
Near
Flatland.
Ma'am, near
Ma'am, for that.
Flatland.
flatland.
Flatland. Ma'am, Flatland.
Ma'am, near
Very good.
Ma'am, near
I'm
Flatland.
so
Ma'am,
I'm so
Flatland.
okay.
Ma'am,
I'm
Flatland.
so overwhelmed. I'm so
Ma'am,
overwhelmed.
Flatland.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your responses. Again, you can switch off your mics. So your answering back to me tells me, encourages me that all of you are paying attention, and I'm so happy to get the response. Each one of you responded. That made me know that my children are interested in studying history. And my return gift to you would be, if you listen carefully, I'll make you fall in love with my subject. So I'm so happy that you're paying attention. So now, as you answered, living in a desert would be difficult because living with scarcity of water, scarcity of food might not lead into a healthy settlement. So were the earlier human beings. They preferred settling down in plains, the fertile areas where there were rich water bodies giving constant supply for food growth and for animals to prosper. So all this tells us one thing, that the geography of a place had always been a great help for history, to study history. The geography of a place goes hand in hand with studying of history as well. Why? Because geography. Now, what is geography? Let me tell you, because this in class 6 is a new term for you. Just as history is a new term for you, so is geography is a new term for you. So, geography basically is the studying of the soil type of a place where you're living, the vegetation, the animal life, the climatic conditions, the temperature of a place, the rainfall of a place. All this is studied in geography. And when we study history, we need a lot of help of geography also, because in history, we immediately come to know, okay, the early man settled next to the Ganga, next to the Indus River. Why? Because the water supply was the main source. So we know that in the past, early man settled in and around the Indus valleys, the Indus basin. What is a basin? It's the area next to a water body. So when we are talking of Indus basin, that means Indus was the name of a river and the area around it was its basin. When we talk of Ganga basin, we know that Ganga was a river and the people settled near the area next to the river is the Ganga basin. So now we come on to the new heading called Sources of History. Now, what is sources of history? Let us see. Let us come to the new heading, Sources of History. Now, to know history, we should know the study and we should know and study the evidences and records of our past. These evidences and records are known as the source material or sources of the history. Major sources of knowing the past may be divided into two categories, the archaeological and literary sources. Now they are telling us sources of history. That means whatever we know about the past. History is the study of the past. Now, whatever we know about the past, from wherever we know, that is the source. हमें हिस्ट्री के बारे में या पुराने लोगों के बारे में ज्ञान कैसे है, किस बातों से है, किन चीजों से है, when we put them together, those are the sources. Now, sources are divided into two broad categories. One is the archaeological source, and the other is the literary source. Now, before we go on into the detail of what is archaeological and what is literary, we need to know the terms. So, archaeological means the remains. Whatever remains early man left, the tools he used after he died, they were buried in this soil, and the historians excavated means they removed the soil and they found out the tools, the remains, the jewelry, the utensils that they used. So all those are called the archaeological sources. That means the remains. Okay. Then let us talk about the literary source. Literary sources are those sources, literary, as the word tells you, literature. That means something which is written. So, all whatever they wrote about the past, that is the literary source. And when we study the literary source and the archaeological remains we see, we study history on the basis of these two things. Because the historians, they go through the archaeological remains and they write about history. They go through the literary sources and they write about history. And we, as a student, know it through good. Keep on playing with the mic. Keep on playing with the mic. This particular child is wasting his or her parents' money. Thank you. Coming to the first one, archaeological sources. The study of the remains of the past of human existence is called archaeology. That means whatever remains are there, when we study them, those are archaeological sources, and we study it in archaeology. Now, what are the ancient remains? पुराने जमाने में क्या छूटा होगा उनका? Buildings जहाँ वो रहते थे. Inscriptions are जो उन्होंने walls पे लिखा है या गोदा है जिसे कहते हैं. Then the coins. If you see the coins of the olden times, they had their king's photograph on it or image on it.
Bones also.
Pardon? Bones also, yes. Artifacts, etc. So all these are archaeological sources of history. A person who studies about the remains of the past is called an archaeologist. So who's an archaeologist? Who's studying the remains of the past is known as archaeologist. Please, you can underline the term if you have a book. Otherwise, those who do not have, they can just read along with the image given on your screen. Now, with the passage of time, the remains of the ancient civilizations got buried under the earth. These remains were dug out by the archaeologists, and let us see and talk about these remains. Now, the first one, A, is inscriptions. Now, what is inscriptions? Let us see. The written records engraved on pillars, rocks, cave walls, walls of forts, palaces, on clay and copper plates, etc. These are known as inscriptions. The earliest of inscriptions were found on the sites of Harappan civilization. Underline Harappan civilization. Now, Harappan civilization was the first civilization where humans settled. That means, what is a civilization? Let me tell you first about that. Civilization means group of people in large numbers settling at one place in group and working there and living there. So the first place where people settled in a big, huge group was the Harappan civilization. And the Harappan civilization is the oldest one, is the oldest one to be seen. You can see here this image which says things from different periods tell us how people lived, what materials they used, and so on. You can see the terracotta toys. Can you see the toys they made for in the earlier times? Mitti ke khilone, which are still used.
Yes,
Can you see
ma'am.
the clay pot they have made? So
Yes,
all
ma'am.
very good. So all these things they tell you what all they used, how all and how they lived. Is this much clear? Inscriptions is clear. We move on further.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, they provide us the information about the kings. Sorry, just a second. I think I left out a page. Okay, information about the kings, administrations, kingdoms, etc. The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. Now, when we are studying the inscriptions, that means the written records engraved on walls, cave uh, pillars, etc. Then when we try to study what is written on those things, on those inscriptions, though that work is known as epigraphy. Okay, the Allahabad pillar inscription present a feature of the character and conquest of King Samudragupta. Now, there was a king called Samudragupta, and he wrote all his work, all his conquests on a pillar. Okay, and that pillar is still available in Allahabad. And if you happen to visit it, you will see that that pillar tells you much about King Samudragupta who lived. Now, the iron pillar inscription at Mehrauli in Delhi give us information about Chandragupta and Vikramaditya. So we come to know about from another iron pillar. Those who have visited Delhi must have seen the iron pillar at Mehrauli in Delhi tells
Yes,
in
ma'am.
great detail. Yes, it
Yes,
tells
ma'am.
in great detail about
Yes,
Chandragupta
ma'am.
Vikramaditya. Now we
Yes,
come on to the next. Very good. Now we come on to the next heading, B, coins. Now the study of coins is called numismatics. Underline the term numismatics. Now, anyone who studies coin, the study of coins is called numismatics. Now, coins provide a great deal of information about the past. They provide information about the rulers who issued these, the period of their reign, and the social and economic conditions of their time. Indian coins found in foreign lands and foreign coins found in India indicate that there was trade between India and other countries. So we come to know about the details of trade and commerce also. How come? Because the coins which are found from foreign lands in India, it tells us here that people from other countries came and they bought things from India. And when we see our coins in other countries, then we know that our people also went across to other countries and sold their things there. So, and bought things from there. So this tells a great deal that there was trade and commerce going on between countries. The coins tell us the details of the king who ruled at that time. So coins contain the year of minting. Most of the time, the year in which they minted, they were made, is given on them. So we come to know the era of the king also, the period when the king ruled through these coins. Okay, and the time period and so on. It is easy to know the past. Then C is the monuments. Now old creations such as buildings, temples, palaces, and towns having historical importance are known as monuments. The monuments throw light not only on the development of architecture but also on the social and religious aspects of life of people. That means what kind of life they had, what kind of inscriptions, what kind of monuments they built, all is studied through the monuments. So, monuments is the study of the buildings, temples, palaces, forts, towns, etc. They throw light on the architecture of the place. Religious aspect. Now, the example is the Nalanda University and the Vikramshila University in Bihar. Both these universities are in Bihar. Enlighten us on the ancient system of education. So, if we visit the Nalanda University, the remains of it, and the Vikramshila University, we know that even in those times, university, that means higher education was imparted, it was given. So nicely it was imparted. Then the stupas of Sachi, that means Madhya Pradesh, and the caves of Ajanta and Ellora in Maharashtra tell us a lot about art and religion of contemporary India. Contemporary means the past, the old. Okay, so it was through these various monuments we know about the sources for history. Then the last is D, artifacts. People in the past made many things, such as tools, weapons, pottery, sculptures, toys, coins, jewelry, paintings, and artifacts, etc. These artifacts help us to get information about the cultural, skill, and artistic life of the civilization. So, through the weapons, tools, pottery, jewelry, etc., we know what kind of life these people lived, what all work they did. If you see, there's a small little chart here saying sources of history, then they have shown you in a, you know, pictorial way. The archaeological sources they have given
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
and then they have also given you the literary sources. I would prefer that you will draw this chart also. I will tell you what all you are supposed to do once we finish this much. Okay. So we stop here for today. We will take up literary sources in our next class. For the time being, you are supposed to go through, reread the chapter that is given to you.
Okay.
Read this fact file also, the fact file here, and these two diagrams, two pictures which are given here. Go through them. Okay. We
Excuse
stop
me,
for
ma'am.
today.
Okay,
Yes.
ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
we
please
have
tell
to
about
read the geography course.
Pardon?
Ma'am, please tell about copy.
The copy. I'm just coming into the details of that. Children, you are requested to make a single line copy for history, a single line copy for civics, and an interleaved copy for geography. And this time, a date would be given to you to submit your copies in the school, and the teachers will take it, they will check it, and return it back to you on a day which will be given. Okay? So please make sure you make a copy and you start working. Now, what you will do in your history copy for now, you will write the index. You will make an index. Please
Ma'am,
switch off
can
your
you
mic.
please open it again?
And children, if you switch off your mic, then it will be better for me to explain it to you. You all open your mic, that is why it turns difficult. You are supposed to make the index. On the index, you'll write serial number 1, then name of the chapter, you will write history or past, then today's date, and you will write the important terms. Can you see at the end of the chapter there are given important terms. See here. Can you see important terms given here? Script, evidence,
Yes,
monuments,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
History, BC, ADs.
yes, secular literature and circa. So I would like all of you to write this as your first written work. You will do this important terms in the copy. You will write these important terms. Did you get it? Till here, did you get it?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Then the second thing that you will do. Yes.
Ma'am,
Chalo,
Ma'am, I
तुम
don't have.
ma'am,
you don't have the book, but you have the image here which is getting recorded. And
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
sent you the PDF. I've sent you the PDF. Now listen to me very carefully. You will write important terms. You'll open the first page, you'll write the name of the chapter, our past, and then you will write important terms. Okay? After you finish defining these important terms, this is the first picture that you will draw. I'm telling you, wait. This is the first picture you will draw. Discovery of fire by early man. Then second picture, domestication of animals and agriculture by early man. These two pictures you will draw. Did you get it? I'm putting it on the screen. These two pictures you will draw.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay?
Excuse me,
After
ma'am.
you draw, yes,
Ma'am, we have to draw it in another page or on that page only?
just one below the other. Wherever your important term finishes, there you start drawing these two pictures. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Once you finish these two drawings, the third thing that you'll do is this map. Now, this map you have to definitely take a map, a physical map of India, and you will mark all the rivers, everything that is given here. Okay? Everything that is given here. I will try to give you.
Ma'am,
Yes, the picture is not clear.
ma'am,
Don't worry. I'm sending you a fresh picture.
Ma'am,
This
can you please? Ma'am, can you please repeat the diagrams?
child, go through the video again. Now see, on a new page, you'll write the index. Index के लिए वैसे most of the copies they have a column for it. You can fill up there. Then on a new page, you will write the chapter's name. Then you'll write important terms. This is the first thing. Then the second thing that you'll do is the two diagrams which are given here. And these are the two diagrams. These are the two diagrams which you'll draw. Discovery of fire by early man, domestication of animals and agriculture by early man. These two diagrams you'll draw, one below the other. After you finish important terms, you'll draw these two diagrams. After that, the third thing that you'll do is this map. Now I've clicked a fresh picture of the map and it is this. I will be sending you so that those of you who do not have a book can see this map, and you can also trace this map and do it. This is the third thing you'll do. That's it for today. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am,
Okay.
you have to paste the map in the copy.
Yes, you have to paste the map in the copy, child. Anything else?
no, ma'am.
Ma'am, we draw the map or paste
Ma'am,
the
please tell again which map.
Physical map. Physical map,
Okay,
Mustafa.
ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Can we
Yes.
print out of it?
You can take printout of it, but in the exam it will be better if you practice it once, because supposing in the exam you won't get a printout to do things. Na? It will be better if you just do it the way it is. ठीक है? I know printout is very easy, but then doing it, marking the rivers on your own will help you practice it also, no? What do you think?
Ma'am,
Children, is the recording still going on or has it stopped?
Ma'am,
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 it
recording is
still
still going on.
Ma'am, still going on.
Okay, got it,
ma'am,
got
still
it.
going on.
So now you can leave. Thank you, class. Bye, class.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
Take care.